I get it, there's a ton of air compressors on Amazon that look great in the pictures, promise industrial strength output, and then sit in the garage gathering dust because they just can't keep up with a day's work. I've seen friends come back from a job site with a tank that barely fills, or a motor that stalls the minute you try to inflate a set of truck tires. That hesitation you feel right before you click Add to Cart is real, and it's what this review is trying to fix. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The 2475F13GH is a 13 horsepower, 30-gallon single-stage gas compressor from the F13GH line. At first glance the headline numbers sound solid. 13 horsepower should be enough to move a decent volume of air, and a 30-gallon tank gives you a buffer between pump cycles. What matters more, though, is how those numbers translate when you actually need to keep a pneumatic nail gun running for an hour, or when you're trying to inflate a fleet of delivery vans on a construction site. Let's start with the kind of work this machine is built for. If you run a small to medium contracting business, do regular tire inflation for a fleet, or you're a DIY enthusiast who spends weekends framing, roofing, or doing automotive work, a gas-powered unit like this can be a real time saver. It's portable enough to hop in the back of a pickup, yet it has the power to keep an inch pneumatic impact wrench humming without constantly cycling on and off. The single-stage design means the air is compressed in one chamber, which is typical for a lot of portable compressors, and keeps the overall weight and cost down compared to a two-stage unit. Who should buy it? Anyone who needs consistent airflow away from an electrical outlet. Think of job sites without reliable power, rural farms, or even a roadside rescue kit. The gas engine runs off standard gasoline, so you're not tied to a cord, and the 30-gallon tank gives you about a minute of continuous airflow at around 100 CFM before the motor has to kick back in. If you're the type who regularly needs to keep a jackhammer or a paint sprayer running for a solid block of time, that buffer makes a noticeable difference. Who should skip it? If you're mainly inflating bike tires, cleaning air tools, or you work in a fully electrified shop, a small electric or oil-free compressor will be quieter, lighter, and cheaper to run. Also, if you're sensitive to noise, remember a gas engine is louder than any electric counterpart. The 13 horsepower engine will definitely turn heads. Some people appreciate the raw sound, others find it a bit much for residential neighborhoods. Now onto the practical strengths. First, the long life badge isn't just marketing fluff. The engine uses a cast iron cylinder and a hardened crankcase, which many users of similar models have reported lasting several years with regular oil changes. Because it's a gas engine, you're not dealing with the heat buildup that can shorten the life of an electric motor when you run it hard for extended periods. Second, the tank's 30-gallon capacity strikes a sweet spot between portability and runtime. On a typical framing job, you could run a pneumatic nail gun for roughly 45 minutes before the pressure dips enough to need a refill. That's a real productivity boost compared to a 6-gallon unit that would force you to stop every few minutes. The weaknesses are more about the trade-offs that come with a gas-driven, single-stage design. The unit weighs just under 200 pounds, so while you can roll it on its built-in wheels, you'll still need a couple of people to lift it onto a trailer or into a truck. The single-stage compression means you won't get the ultra-high pressure that a two-stage unit can deliver, so if you need more than 125 psi for certain spray painting applications, you'll have to look elsewhere. Noise is another practical consideration. The engine hits around 80 dB at idle and climbs higher under load. In a residential setting that can attract complaints, so you might need to add a muffler or operate it during daylight hours. A real-world scenario helps illustrate the balance. I spoke with a local roofing contractor who uses a 13 horsepower, 30 gallons gas compressor on a daily basis. He told me the biggest win is the ability to keep his nail gun at full pressure while moving up and down a two-story roof. He never has to pause to wait for the tank to refill, which cuts his job time by about 15%. The downside for him is the fuel consumption. He's refilling the gas tank after about 4 hours of continuous work, which adds a small operating cost. If you're running a business where fuel expense matters, factor that into your calculations. Another anecdote comes from a small auto repair shop that bought the unit for tire inflations and occasional impact wrench work. The owner said the compressor's long life claim holds up. After 18 months and roughly 300 hours of operation, the engine still runs smoothly with a routine oil change. However, he mentioned that the unit's intake filter